a French woman named Jeanne Calment passed away after 122 years and 164 days on this earth, making her the oldest known person in history. Her age was so astounding that a millionaire pledged $1 million to anyone who could break her record. But in reality, living to this age or beyond is a feat that very few, maybe even no humans, are likely to accomplish. Human bodies just aren't built for extreme aging. Our capacity is set at about 90 years. But what does aging really mean? And how does it counteract the body's efforts
There are
to
numerous
stay alive?
theories that aim to explain how we age, but researchers are still working to fully understand the factors that affect a person's lifespan. Numerous studies involving genetics, biochemistry, animal models, and longitudinal studies in humans are among the many types of aging research that are constantly being conducted. Modern biological theories of human aging fall into two categories. First, program theories. Program theories adhere to a biological schedule, perhaps continuing childhood development. This timeline would be influenced by changes in gene expression that affect the systems responsible for keep, repair, and defense responses. There is a period of life that changes in gene would affect the individual, causing death. The evidence supporting this theory is that there is not a great deal of variation in lifespan within species. Elephants die at around 70 years old, spider monkeys die at around 25 years old, and humans die around the age of 80 on average. 100,000 centenarians in US and Japan has the highest rate of centenarians, with 0.06 of the population aged 100 or older.
There have been many ways to categorize the ages of individuals in late adulthood. That stage is divided into three categories: the young old from ages 65 to 84, oldest old from ages 85 to 99, and centenarians from ages 100 and above. Late adulthood or old age is generally considered to begin at about age 65. Erik Erikson suggests that at this time, it is important to find meaning and satisfaction in life rather than to become bitter and disillusioned. That is, to resolve the conflict of integrity versus despair. We will be discussing the development of adulthood in the areas biological, cognitive, socio-emotional, moral or spiritual, and personality development.
Physical changes of aging. There are a lot of physical changes of aging, and these include heart muscles thicken, arteries become less flexible, lung capacity diminishes, kidneys become less efficient in removing waste from the blood, bladder loses its ability to store urine, and brain cells also lose some functioning, but new neurons can also be produced. Many of these changes are determined by genetics, lifestyle, and disease. Other changes in late adulthood include body changes. Everyone's body shape changes naturally as they age. According to the National Library of Medicine, after age 30, people tend to lose lean tissue, and some of the cells of the muscles, liver, kidney, and other organs are lost. Tissue loss reduces the amount of water in your body, and bones may lose some of their minerals and become less dense, a condition called osteopenia in the early stages and osteoporosis in the later stages. The amount of body fat goes up steadily after age 30, and older individuals may have almost 1/3 more fat compared to when they were younger. Fat tissue builds up toward the center of the body, including around the internal organs.
Skin, hair, and nails in late adulthood becomes thinner, less elastic, loses fat, and no longer looks plump and smooth. Veins and bones can be seen easier, and scratches, cuts, and bumps can take longer to heal. Years exposed to the sun may lead to wrinkles, dryness, and age spots. Height and weight in late adulthood. Older adults have a tendency to become shorter as one ages occurs among all races and both sexes. Height loss is related to aging changes in the bones, muscles, and joints. Sarcopenia is the loss of muscle tissue as a natural part of aging. Sarcopenia is most noticeable in men, and physically inactive people can lose as much as 3% to 5% of their muscle mass each decade after age 30. But even when active, muscle loss still occurs. Symptoms of sarcopenia include a loss of stamina and weakness, which can decrease physical activity and subsequently further shrink muscles. Sarcopenia typically happens faster around age 75, but it may also speed up as early as 65 or as late as 80.
Sensory changes in late adulthood. Vision. In late adulthood, all the senses show signs of decline, especially among the oldest old. 3 serious eye diseases are more common in older adults: cataracts, macular degeneration, and glaucoma. Only the first can be effectively cured in most people. Cataracts are a clouding of the lens of the eye. The lens of the eye is made up of mostly water and protein. The protein is precisely arranged to keep the lens clear, but with age, some of the protein starts to clump. As more of the protein clumps together, the clarity of the lens is reduced. Age-related macular degeneration, loss of clarity in the center field of vision due to deterioration of the macula, the center of the retina. Macular degeneration does not usually cause total vision loss, but the loss of the central field of vision can greatly impair day-to-day functioning. There are 2 types of macular degeneration: dry and wet. The dry type is the most common form and occurs when tiny pieces of a fatty protein called drosin form beneath the retina. The macula becomes thinner and stops working properly. The wet type, which causes more damage to the central field of the vision than the dry form. This form is caused by an abnormal development of blood vessels beneath the retina. These vessels may leak fluid or blood, causing more rapid loss of vision than the dry form. A third vision problem that increases with age is glaucoma. Glaucoma is the loss of your age. The pressure in the eye may increase, causing damage to the optic nerve. It is the most common cause of blindness in the US. The exterior of the optic nerve receives input from the retinal cells on the periphery, and as glaucoma progresses, visual field deteriorates toward the center field of vision. In the advanced stages of glaucoma, a person can lose their sight. Types of smell disorders: presbyosmia, or smell loss due to aging; hyposmia, or loss of only certain odors; anosmia, or total loss of smell; dysosmia, or change in the perception of odors. Familiar odors are distorted; and phantosmia, or smell odors that are not present. Taste and smell. Our sense of taste and smell are part of our chemical sensing system. Our sense of taste or gustation appears to age well. After age 50, we start to lose some of these sensory cells. Most people do not notice any changes in taste until one's 60s. Given that the loss of taste buds is very gradual, even in late adulthood, many people are often surprised about their loss of taste. Heart disease is the leading cause of death for those in late adulthood. There are different types of heart disease, and the most common is atherosclerosis. Atherosclerosis is the buildup of fatty deposits or plaques in the walls of arteries. As plaque builds up, blood is unable to flow normally and bring oxygen throughout the body, including to the heart. Depending on where the buildup is, atherosclerosis can cause a heart attack, leg pain, or a stroke. However, atherosclerosis is not part of normal aging. Many of the problems older people have with their heart and blood are caused by disease and not by aging. For example, an older heart can normally pump blood as strong as a younger heart, while less ability to pump blood is caused by disease. Therefore, leading a heart-healthy lifestyle is most important to keeping one's heart strong in late adulthood. Arthritis. Arthritis and other rheumatic conditions are the most common cause of disability among adults and have been the most common cause of disability among adults for the past 15 years. According to the NHI, approximately 62% of adults with arthritis are 65 years old and up. Almost 1 in 2 older adults with arthritis have some degree of mobility limitations, such as climbing stairs, walking, and grasping objects. The pain and other limitations of arthritis can also increase the risk of depression and other forms of mental distress. Osteoporosis and kyphosis. Osteoporosis is a disease that thins and weakens bones to the point that they become fragile and break easily. Adults gradually lose height and their posture becomes hunched over, which is called kyphosis. Over time, a bent spine can make it hard to walk or even sit up. Adults can prevent the loss of bone mass by eating a healthy diet with enough calcium and vitamin D, regularly exercising, limiting alcohol, and not smoking. Chronic obstructive pulmonary disease. Chronic obstructive pulmonary disease, or COPD, is a progressive lung disease in which the airways become damaged, making it difficult to breathe.
Shingles is a disease that affects your nerves.
Although aging is a natural and inevitable part of life, and it brings about unique challenges and opportunities that we must all face as we grow older. The late adulthood stage, in particular, can be a time of great reflection and introspection as individuals begin to contemplate the meaning and purpose of their lives and consider the legacy they wish to leave behind. In this presentation, we will explore the moral and spiritual dimension of late adulthood and how this can impact an individual's belief and values. We will also examine some of the common issues and challenges faced by older adults in this stage of life. So before we proceed to our discussion, let us define first what is moral and spiritual stage. When we talk about the moral dimension of late adulthood, we refer to an individual's sense of right and wrong, their ethical principles, and their values. As people age, they become more aware of their own mortality and the impact of their actions on others. This heightened sense of responsibility can lead to a greater emphasis on ethics and moralities in decision-making as individuals strive to live a life that aligns with their beliefs and values. On the other hand, spiritual dimension of late adulthood refers to an individual's sense of purpose, meaning, and connection to something larger than themselves. This can manifest in a variety of ways, such as religious or philosophical beliefs, a sense of interconnectedness with others, or a connection in nature or the universe. Spiritual growth and exploration can be particularly important for individuals in late adulthood, as they grapple with questions of mortality and the legacy they wish to leave behind.
The elderly stage of life is often associated with moral and spiritual considerations.
This stage of life is characterized by a variety of physical, cognitive, and social changes that can influence an individual's beliefs and values. Here are some key concepts related to moral and spiritual aspects of late adulthood.
First, integrity versus despair. This is a concept proposed by psychologist Erik Erikson. According to Erikson, late adulthood is a stage where individuals reflect on their lives and either feel a sense of integrity or despair. Those who feel a sense of integrity view their lives as meaningful and productive, while those who feel despair may regret missed opportunities and feel a sense of hopelessness. So let us proceed to another key concept related to late adulthood, reflection on life experiences. Late adulthood may also provide an opportunity for reflection on one's life experiences and how they have shaped one's moral and spiritual perspective. This can lead to a deeper sense of self-awareness and increased commitment to personal growth and development. Next, meaning and purpose. Late adulthood is also a time where individuals may reflect on the meaning and purpose of their life. This can involve questioning the values and beliefs, seeking new experiences and challenges, and finding ways to contribute to their community or society. Another key concept related to late adulthood is compassion and empathy. As individuals age, they become more compassionate and empathetic towards others. This can involve an increased awareness of the needs of others, a desire to help and support others, and a willingness to forgive and show understanding towards those who may have wronged them in the past. We also have greater tolerance and acceptance. With age often comes a greater understanding and acceptance of diverse perspective and lifestyle. Older adults may become more open-minded and less judgmental, recognizing that there is no one right way to live or believe.
Overall, late adulthood is a stage of life that offers individuals the opportunity to reflect on their lives and consider the deeper, more spiritual and moral aspect of existence. This can involve a renewed interest in religious or spiritual practices, as well as focus on personal growth and development through creative pursuit, volunteer work, and spending time with loved ones. By cultivating a sense of spirituality and morality during this age, individuals can find greater fulfillment and meaning in their lives as they age, leading to a satisfying and purposeful experience in their golden years.
During the late adulthood stage, there are changes in the cognitive development of an individual. Cognition refers to the thinking processes of an individual that allows for the retention and comprehension of new material. The various cognitive processes include recognition, memory, judgment, problem solving, and the ability to attend to a specific stimulus for a period of time. Cognition can be divided into the following areas. The first one is attention. Attention is a cognitive process that allows an individual to focus on a specific stimulus within the environment.
You'll want to pay attention to this next game because that's exactly what we'll be testing. Your ability to pay attention. Scientists have found that our brain has a limited amount of resources it can allocate to focusing on any one item at a time. When we shift from one thing to another, there is a slight gap in our attention span that experts call an attentional link. Don't believe me? Try this. I'm going to show you a series of letters in rapid succession. Your job is to spot the letter that comes immediately after the W. Ready? What letter did you see after the W? The answer? It was F. If you're like most people, you saw the W, but not the F, because your brain was still busy processing the fact that you spotted the W when the F whizzed by. Even though we told your brain it was coming, your brain blinked and missed it.
The second one is language. Language and language development allows the understanding and expression of ideas through words or symbols. Language also facilitates communication with others and strengthens thought processes.
Chomsky's hypothesis was that there are inborn structures in our brain, what he called a language acquisition device, or LAD, which gives us a natural propensity to organize the spoken language that we hear in various grammatical ways. Without that, we couldn't get started as language learners. If he's right, language structure is hardwired as a kind of universal grammar. Our slates have been written on before we emerge from the womb.
The fourth one is learning. Learning is a cognitive process that involves assimilating new ideas, synthesizing information, and combining new information with previous knowledge. The next area is memory. Memory allows the individual to store and retrieve information. Memory is also critical to the learning process and allows for the retention of previous information, which then be a foundation for adding new information. The next area is perception. Perception involves the use of the senses for taking in new information, responding to outside stimuli, and interacting with the environment. And the last one is thought. Thought is the process of thinking that facilitates decision-making, problem-solving, and higher order reasoning skills. Cognition can be further divided into two categories. The first category is fluid intelligence. It is defined as processing new information. And the second category is crystallized intelligence, defined as using existing knowledge about the world and how to interact with the environment. In general, older adults have slowed fluid intelligence. These can be seen in difficulties solving problems, applying logic, or recognizing patterns in the workforce. For example, an older adult may have increased difficulty planning for new situations and may feel stressed when asked to solve a problem. Crystallized intelligence, on the other hand, is maintained and maybe even be strengthened in late adulthood. Crystallized intelligence includes the knowledge of or facts that remain important in the life of an individual. Cognitive aging does not affect the ability to comprehend new information, especially when the older adult avails himself or herself of educational opportunities or learning situations. Many factors affect cognitive development in late adulthood, including the physical changes such as hearing loss or slowing of information processing in the brain, and increased difficulty in focusing and problem-solving ability. The comprehension of new facts is generally not affected by aging. Information processing in late adulthood. There are many types of cognitive changes in the late adulthood. Two of the most common characteristics of older adulthood are struggles with memory and attention or focus. Cognitive aging includes processing things more slowly, finding it harder to recall past events, and failing to recall information that was once known. The most obvious cognitive changes in late adulthood are observed in declining performance on cognitive tasks that require an individual to quickly process information or transform information to make a decision. Cognitive development in late adulthood slows, especially in the areas that require speed of processing, working memory, and executive cognitive functions. What is executive cognitive function? It is the most or more complex cognitive skills used to control and coordinate the ability to adopt, plan, and self-monitor. Accordingly, executive cognitive functions also facilitate working memory, time management, organization, and self-control. In the elderly, this decline in cognitive ability may result in: first one is difficulty planning or organizing schedule. Second one is increased difficulty with word recall. The third one is increased difficulty in storing or retrieving information. Fourth is mood swings or socially inappropriate behavior. The fifth one is loss of interest in activities. And the last is an awareness of the consequences of their behaviors. For aging adults who are still in the workforce, the inability to organize activities or multitask can affect job performance. An aging teacher, for instance, may find themselves needing more time to plan curriculum, may need to write things down in order to recall information, and may find themselves less patient with students. In a business setting, an older employee may find themselves aging out of a position as technology changes and becomes more challenging. Attention may be defined as the selective focus on a stimulus or aspect of information. The ability to attend to a stimulus is one of the cognitive changes in late adulthood. Many factors may affect the difficulty of maintaining focus. Hearing loss, for instance, often accompanies aging and makes understanding speech more challenging. As difficulty with memory increases, maintaining focus can also be affected because of the confusion that may result from memory loss. Difficulty attending can affect work performance and also social skills. This, in turn, affects relationships and the perception of intelligence that others may have regarding the individual. Memory can be divided into two categories, implicit and explicit. Implicit memory or declarative memory involves conscious thought and recall. This information must be consciously brought to the attention of the individual in order to be used. Examples of declarative memory include recalling historical events, remembering the time of an appointment, or recalling items in a grocery list. Explicit memory typically declines with aging. Implicit memory does not involve the conscious recall of information. Use of implicit memory results in behaviors that appears to be automatic, requiring little thought. An example of implicit memory includes remembering how to tie shoes, turn on the stove, or get dressed independently. Implicit memory typically does not decline with aging.
We are now here in personality development in late adulthood. We are considered in late adulthood from the time we reach our mid-60s until death. From a young person's perspective in particular, getting older is dull, unpleasant, and most definitely not exciting. The majority of aging research has concentrated on the physical, mental, and social losses brought on by growing older, including physical receptions, illnesses, cognitive decline, retirement, and the passing of friends and acquaintances. The overall image is one of decline or at best of peak, and for those in their second half of life, the future frequently seems to hold little opportunities for further development. Researchers have, however, reframed aging as a process of development rather than decline throughout the last few decades. Many people have taken a particular interest in personality development as people age. The question is, what and how components of character evolve as we get older? I want you to pay close attention and take notes as we move along. So let us now examine the various ideas of personality development in late adulthood. I've got here two theories who might help us understand the process of personality development in late adulthood. So, Erik Erikson and Bernice Newgarden. Let's begin with the theory of Erik Erikson, ego integrity versus despair. It is the eighth and final stage of Erik Erikson's stage theory of psychosocial development. Erikson explains that late adulthood is marked by a crisis between ego integrity and despair, as older adults are looking back over their lives, evaluating it, and coming to terms with it. Those who have successfully resolved the crisis experience a sense of satisfaction and accomplishment, and those who do not resolve the crisis successfully look back on their lives with dissatisfaction and may be unhappy, depressed, angry, or despondent. Let's define integrity and despair. So integrity as acceptance of one's and only life cycle as something that had to be, and later as a sense of coherence and wholeness. Whereas despair, individuals who reflect on their lives and regret not achieving their goals will experience feelings of bitterness and despair. That is why some elderly people, including our grandparents, have a tendency to become angry with their children, grandchildren, or young people. They frequently exert control over and manipulation over them to get them to act in ways that they rarely did when they were younger. They lack gratitude and happiness. They refuse to acknowledge that they are nearing the end of their lives. So yeah, we know that they are scared, and we as their young children or grandchildren, we should understand them because that's life. Some people can't accept that they are near the end of their lives. Next, we have Bernice Newgarden. Newgarden's personality styles illustrate the ways aging can interact with personality. Now let's move on to learn the definition of Newgarden's personality styles and explore examples of the 4 types. Interaction of aging and personality. We've discussed in the previous topics how aging will change your personality. We don't remain exactly the same throughout our whole lives. Life would be very different if it did. Could you imagine your grandmother acting like she did in her 20s or 30s? Well, when we're looking at aging, we see that personality changes over time. What if we wanted to see how personalities would react to time? That is what Bernice Newgarden did in the 1940s when she examined what actually happens as a person ages instead of dealing with assumptions and stereotypes. Newgarden's personality styles are a categorization of how different people's personalities react to the aging process. This is to say, some people will age very well and take everything in, and some people will act as if they're allergic to the aging process and attempt to fight it. Let's start off with the worst one. The disintegrated or disorganized are the least successful type of aging, in which an individual displays marked physical and psychological defects with aging. Let's look at an example of what this may look like. So, you may now know that disintegrated and disorganized people attempt to fight the aging process by reverting back to a younger age. It is an unhealthy and destructive form of denial. Everyone is getting older, but those who are disorganized do not incorporate the aging process into who they are. Instead, they will act and think as if they were much younger. Let's move on to the next types of Newgarden's personality styles. Defendant. There are some people who will fight against the aging process but hold it together. The defendant are individuals who see aging as a threatening event and seek to shield themselves from it. Similar to the disintegrated and disorganized, this individual does not like the idea of aging. Defendant individuals attempt to retain roles and status and will avoid drops in involvement and status. For example, here we have Evelyn, the 73-year-old woman who could have retired a while ago but continues to work. She is the kind of person who is trying to keep hold of everything. Next, we have the 3rd types of Newgarden's personality styles. Passive dependent. Passive dependent are people who need more assistance than would actually be expected. So, there are 2 types of passive dependent people. First one is the support seekers and the second one is the apathetic. Support seekers, when you say support seekers, they can be described as an older person who seeks out support from others. The individual will find someone to take care of them, and this type of person can have high life satisfaction if they can find someone to take care of them. So, the apathetic is which is when an older person is passive about their life. This is someone who needs help moving but does not actively seek someone to help them. Last but foremost, integrated personalities is the 4 types of Newgarden's personality styles. The most successful individuals cope comfortably with aging. They accept it, becoming older, and maintain a sense of self-dignity. That's all. Thank you.
I'm a hot air balloon that could go to space with the air like I don't care, baby, by the way. Because I'm happy. Clap along if you feel like a room without a roof.
negative or positive perception of this process depends on social connections and support, as well as a person's attitude. Socio-emotional development in the adulthood can vary depending on a person's qualities, lifestyle, and community. At a mature age, many people became increasingly dependent on other people due to physiological changes. This factor can have an impact on their emotional and social well-being. Older people always rely on the help of family members, relatives, and long-term care professionals. They may experience feelings of shame or guilt, as well as symptoms of depression, especially when caring for elders is considered a burden in society. Often, older people feel lonely as their friends can die. The emerging state of isolation can have detrimental effects on well-being at older age. But many people cope with this circumstance by leading an active lifestyle and participating in community life, for example, in a nursing home.
The lively ones, yeah, when everybody's up and dancing and everything like that.
Many people, as they enter a more mature age, may experience a crisis between integrity and despair. Erikson suggested that in late adulthood, people tend to review all the events and achievements of their lives. This process consists of identifying not only positive moments, but also reflecting on failures and troubles. As a result, many people may experience regret, which causes feelings of despair and negatively affects their well-being. On the contrary, a positive outlook on past events led to greater satisfaction with life in later adulthood. In overall, successful aging primarily depends on a variety of activities, a positive attitude towards past events, as well as the selection and compensation of opportunities. This strategy will not only help focus on the positive aspects, but find new ways of being active and involved, which is necessary according to the theory of activity.
Late adulthood, also known as old age or elderly age, refers to the final stage of human lifespan, which begins at around age 65 and lasts until death. Here are some current trends and issues related to late adulthood. First, technology use has become the most critical approach to maintaining social connectedness during the COVID-19 pandemic. Older adults aged 65 years are perceived as the most physiologically susceptible population to developing COVID-19 and are at risk of secondary mental health challenges related to the social isolation that has been imposed by virus containment strategies. We also have social isolation and loneliness. Late adulthood can also be a time of social disengagement, as individuals may experience retirement, loss of family and friends, and decreased mobility. Social isolation and loneliness can have adverse effects on mental and physical health, including depression, cognitive decline, and increased risk of mortality. Research suggests that social intervention, such as group activities and peer support, can mitigate the negative effect of social isolation. By the year 2050, according to the United Nations, 1 in 6 persons will be 65 plus years of age. Given this increasingly number of people entering worldwide aging community, coupled with lower rates, especially in high-income and some middle-income countries, there is concern about the old age dependency, that is, the number of people 65 plus per 100% in the working age group. That ratio is increasingly significantly. especially in countries such as China. And lastly, we have cognitive aging. Late adulthood is also marked by changes in cognitive functioning, including declines in memory and processing speed. However, research suggests that cognitive aging is not necessarily a uniform process and that factors such as education, physical activity, and cognitive stimulation can mitigate cognitive declines. Overall, these trends and issues highlight the importance of recognizing the unique needs and challenges faced by individuals in late adulthood and developing strategies to support and empower them as they age. In conclusion, we have discussed various trends and issues related to late adulthood, including cognitive changes, moral development, psychosocial challenges, and personality traits. We have seen that aging can bring both opportunities and difficulties, and that individual experiences can vary wildly. However, it is important to recognize that late adulthood is a time of continued growth and development, and that older adults have much to offer to society. By understanding and addressing the unique needs and strength of this population, we can help ensure that everyone has the opportunity to live a fulfilling and meaningful life as they age. Thank you for watching, and I hope that this presentation has provided you with a greater understanding of the trends and issues surrounding late adulthood. Thank you, and God bless us all.